Hi, this is Don Hobbs over at the Small Business Festival, and we've been having a lot of fun with all the speakers, and we've got one of our panelists that just came off of the co-working space panel. His name is Lorenzo Gomez, and Lorenzo, it's great to have you here.
Great to be here, Don. Thank you.
Thanks for being part of this, and I know actually it was interesting just getting a chance to hear your story a little bit, is that you had an interesting start in business. So tell us about that, because I think that sets a real tone for where you now are. I don't know if it was your first job, but your first major job that I heard about was a little company we've heard of.
Yeah, I got a call from a guy one day, and he said, "Hey, I'm at this little company called Rackspace downtown, and you should come, and it'll probably go out of business, but they buy us food every week." And so I joined Rackspace when I was 20, and I had no idea what servers or hosting was, and I shared a cubicle with one of the owners, Graham Weston, and fast forward to today, I run two of his organizations, Geekdom being the co-working space in San Antonio.
So it could have been a really good news or really bad news to be
when they told me, they said, "Hey, Graham doesn't want to be in an office; he wants to be where the action was, and you have the only open cube." I thought, "Oh my God, he's gonna hear me on the phone. He's gonna realize I have no idea what the internet does, and they're gonna walk me out the building." And thankfully, he didn't.
Well, your friend clearly said they're probably not going to make it. He missed that one, right?
That's right. Yeah, he at least wasn't. I mean, obviously wasn't listening to me on the phone.
Yeah, exactly. That's fantastic. Well, so you're the CEO of Geekdom, which I love that name.
Yeah.
And then he's got the foundation, which you're also running.
Yes.
Let's talk about Geekdom, because I believe that the co-working. I first of all believe in the co-working model. I really love what's going on in collaboration. I mean, small business today is very different than small business of old.
That's right.
It's all about collaboration.
That's right.
So let's go to the inside of the co-working space where you are. And first of all, let's start with, since you're not just in a co-working space, you are the co-working space. What's the mission? What's your vision for this company?
Yeah, so the mission of Geekdom is very different than a lot of co-working spaces, because when I say, "Hey, come to San Antonio," you immediately think the Alamo, right? Which, if you've ever been there, it's much smaller than you thought it'd be, and or you think it's the Riverwalk.
Like 12 people there.
There was a couple people there, And the other thing people think is it's the Riverwalk, and no local goes to the Riverwalk unless my aunt's visiting from Missouri and I have to take her there. And you don't think of co-working, you don't think of tech, you don't think of entrepreneurship, and so our mission is to revitalize downtown San Antonio and have it be the epicenter of tech and entrepreneurship. And so we're trying to create a new narrative. And so the mission of Geekdom is to really be the epicenter of collaborative co-working for tech startups and entrepreneurs of any background. And I think in 5 years we've had a lot of progress.
Well, the exciting part is that you create that environment of collaboration, right? And so every time I'm talking to somebody in a co-working space, and the panel, of course, Shelley Delane is one of my friends from Orange Co-working, which is more here in Austin, right?
Very familiar.
And I've just watched them grow, because we had a chance to work with many of their people in our seminars. And one of the things that I love about it is that you've got people that are, I've got my thing that I want to do, and I'm trying to figure out how to do it. I don't know how to hire people. I don't have any money to do a lot of things.
That's right.
And yet it turns out when I show up at this co-working space that I've got an affordable place to do business. I don't have to work out of Starbucks and try and grab a window seat or whatever that looks like.
Right.
And I've got all these cool people around me. So let's talk about the collaboration that's gone on. Maybe you can give us a story or two of some of the people that have started there and then found their build-outs really for their companies.
I start first with kind of the ethos of co-working and how it functions, and for that we study many cities that do it well, and one of the cities we studied is Vegas, and Tony Hsieh and the Zappos people have done a really good job, and he has a phrase called the serendipitous collision of ideas. And I just think that really that's where co-working is the undefeated heavyweight champion of serendipitous collision of ideas. That is where innovation to me happens, is when you put a bunch of random people together. And so our job is to create the conditions for the serendipitous collisions to happen, right? We don't really make companies. I think that your observation is spot on. I think every co-working space has its own GDP. The people are buying and trading services, they're sharing ideas, and that's really magical. And when you see it happen, it really changes the way you view the world. And we've had some really great success stories. I'll give you just a couple of them. One of the companies at Geekdom were two guys that we just threw in an office together that had never met, and we just made them share. And these two entrepreneurs were complaining about the lack of programmers, and so they decided to start a boot camp. And so they asked me if they could kind of take this open area and start teaching classes, and they did. And it quickly outgrew us, and they now occupy about 10,000 square feet of a building downtown, and they're looking for about 25,000 square feet. They just grew so fast because there was such demand, but it was two guys that had absolutely never met each other before. And that is really a great example, and now they have a really large, successful business. The one I really love talking about is Merge VR, Merge Virtual Reality. And this was two guys, one guy who grew up in San Antonio, who used to be in the gaming industry, and he left his job and basically made this virtual reality headset. So they have a product that you can buy for under $70 with your phone. And he walked into Geekdom with this duct-taped styrofoam thing that I put on, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. But then I thought, oh, this will never work, which is really, the theme of my career is being wrong about these things. and our co-founder, Nick Longo, did a good job of getting these guys integrated, and he met another gentleman named Michael Girdley, who is one of the co-founder of the first story I just told you. And Michael Girdley introduced this guy to his co-founder, and they started Merge VR. And Merge VR got investment. They grew like crazy. They outgrew us. And this year, they were named the most interesting product at CES. And all of a sudden now, the game changed. And the Wall Street Journal is interviewing them, and all these publications are taking note of them. And they outgrew us. So both of these stories outgrew the co-working space. But we look at them fondly like West Point graduates. We're so happy to have been part of their story. And I think that this is the magic of co-working, is this is happening in co-working spaces all over the place. But I also think that it's not just for tech. I think that so many small businesses and freelancers find the same value from it.
Yeah, it's true. And I know there's specialties, right? That
right.
people have, and I think that's really an important part. Find a co-working space that really is leaning towards your direction, right? That's going to really support you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm fascinated. I love how you talked about it. I think it's incredible. I mean, philosophically, I was like, wow, that's so cool. Like the heavyweight champion. It's like it's really cool. I mean, you sell co-working so well, and I, more and more as I sat in the festival today and this week, and I'm thinking about all those people, and there's so many of them that have probably never entertained the co-working lifestyle.
That's right.
And they don't know what they're missing. And I think your panel today really lit up some people because they get a chance to really kind of dive in and see what happens if I really have people around me. Because we were talking about this earlier, is that on my worst day, there's nobody to talk to.
Right.
And on my best day, nobody gets it, right? Nobody's there to celebrate with me.
That's right.
If I'm, married, I might have a spouse to go, hey, I had a good day, and they don't know and they don't care, or, whatever. I'm just saying they don't get it. So I think that the mind of the entrepreneur is very challenging, and how they think is very different. And in the normal world, where most people say get a job, and for you find the collaboration and the support and all of that in this co-working space.
I think that's a great point, and I think that what I would add to that is I don't think the world, especially the United States, is not structured for the entrepreneur. Most parents right now are telling their kids, go to school, get a job, right, get a family. Nobody is saying be an entrepreneur, right? There's so much risk, there's so much fear. And I think that co-working is the place where if you're an entrepreneur, most people won't understand your problem sets. They won't understand that, holy moly, I need to make payroll. How am I going to make payroll? Mm-hmm. And I think that the co-working space is really kind of half, like Alcoholics Anonymous. It's kind of a support group. But it's where you go where the people that have the similar problems, similar problem sets, or they might be one step ahead of you. Man, I have to fire my first employee. What can you coach me on? And I think that this is truly the innovation of community in our day and age.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, I'm really thrilled that you came to visit us. I love what you've talked about. And I think that if we accomplish this one thing, it would be to get people to really look at how they can get what they need, because business is challenging in itself, right? And no one succeeds alone. We know that part.
That's right.
And so we've got to decide how we're going to grow it. And this just offers a really great way of doing that. By the way, you mentioned parents pushing kids to go to college. Nothing against that.
That's right.
It didn't work for me.
That's right.
And how did it work for you?
It did not wait. No, I dropped out as soon as I got my job at Rackspace. And so I think that but you're right. There is options. You want there to be options.
Of course, and I'm not against school, and for the right reasons. And I just wanted people to know that it's okay if you don't have that. You don't have to know that part.
That's right.
A lot of times, what we learn in school is not what we do in business.
That's right.
And so, congratulations to you and your successes. I'm glad you found your way. And we're at the Small Business Festival, and we've got so many cool people. And I'm really glad you were here with us, Lorenzo. Thanks for being part of it.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me.